Oh. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second Democratic debate. Just kidding. Welcome to the second Ask Me Anything at Goucher College, but we will get you out in time before the debate is over, hopefully. My name is Lindy Bobbitt, and I'm the Director of Residential Life, and I have two first-year mentors with me. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Michaela Hennett, a junior Peace Studies major from Waldorf, Maryland, who uses she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Bidwan Lawal, a senior economics major from Prince George's, Maryland, who uses he, him pronouns.
So today we're just going to be answering some questions for you for a little bit, both myself and the two first-year mentors. If you have questions that you want to submit, you can send them either via Facebook, YouTube, or send them by email at firstyear@goucher.edu. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in, and you'll notice that throughout the evening, we'll just kind of bounce back and forth at who answers questions. But if you have any specifics, please feel free to send those also. So the first question is, how does renting a mini fridge work? You want to answer that? You want me to?
Yeah, wait, you do that.
Okay. It's possible they've rented a mini fridge before. I don't know. So renting a mini fridge is the way that you can have both a refrigerator and a microwave in your room. It's the only way that you can have a microwave in your room. So if that's important to you, you need to go through the mini fridge system. Basically, on our website, there is a link, and you fill out exactly what room you're living in and what semesters you're going to want it for. And then the great thing about the mini fridge is that it's in your room when you arrive to campus. So the only thing that we ask is that it is clean at the end of the year so that we can pick it up. But other than that, there's no work that goes into it for you. It's just about naming your room assignment, paying for it, and then leave the rest to us and to our mini fridge company. One thing that is common that we have roommates kind of talk about is how they want to split up the cost of that. Generally speaking, you only need one mini fridge per room because it's big enough kind of for two people, but that might be something that you want to talk to your roommate about in terms of who's going to order that if you're going to order that. Okay.
What can you have in the rooms and what can you not have? So to make this question easier, if you go on the Goucher's website and look up what to bring for Goucher College, you can also Google it. It has a list of everything that we accept and don't accept on in your dorm. So what are some not brings though? Maybe that's probably easier. What are some
not brings?
Yeah.
Some not brings would include cinder block. Apparently this is a popular item to bring if you want to raise your bed. Your beds actually will raise on their own. We have different settings that you can raise your bed on your own. The biggest thing is that anything that you do bring needs to have an automatic shutoff. So anything that doesn't have an automatic shutoff cannot be brought into the residence halls. It's a fire hazard. Okay, the next question. What is the first year village? So the first year village is our kind of collection of 3 residence halls that we opened up this year, well, I guess about a year ago, and it houses all of our first year students. So there is Fireside Hall, Trustees Hall, and Paliaro Cells Hall, and all of those are just full of other first year students. So it's kind of this way that you can get acclimated to campus with other people that are kind of going through the same transition as you, while also still being connected to the larger campus. All of the first year village, the first floors are open to anyone, and each of the first floors has kind of its claim to fame. So we have a demo kitchen, which is this beautiful kitchen, arguably the nicest kitchen on campus, a gaming room, and just some giant lounge spaces. And then each first year village hall also has its own kind of common room lounges on each floor, and then in addition it has kitchens on each floor.
So how does choosing a roommate work? So if you go to the housing directory, which in the fall you will find out a lot more about, for right now, just hold on. But basically choosing a roommate, you go on the housing directory and you essentially can look up a person, look up based on their info, or you can essentially just put in their, I believe, student ID number. And you can also do it based on interest and things you have similarities with other students, or you can just ask someone to, send you a request. Once it's accepted, then you both are together on the housing directory for choosing a room. So whoever goes first in the rooming process for some room selection will then be the person choosing the room for both of them.
Yeah. And what Radwan is talking about is kind of how you'll do housing after this first year. Is you'll be able to choose roommates kind of on your own and then go through the housing process together. In this first year, we select your room for you because all of your rooms are pretty much identical. And if you had a roommate request, those were due a couple of weeks ago when our application was due. The good news about this, though, is that we are done with your housing assignments. And so your housing assignments will be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we originally told you.
Yes. Yes.
We originally said the middle of July, but things are looking good and are done. So if you did select a roommate on your own, you will be housed in a room with that roommate. You'll get the email tomorrow. If you did not choose your roommate, you will get to see who your roommate is tomorrow, probably in the afternoon. And then the two of you can start connecting with each other and collaborating about what exactly you're going to bring to your room in the fall and exactly how you want it to look. So that's your exciting surprise of the night is housing assignments are done.
Okay, so the next question is, what happens if I want a room change, and how does that process work?
Okay. So if you want a room change, we do ask that you go through a process. So obviously the first thing that we're going to say to you is give it a chance. We recognize that a lot of you are coming in with random roommates that you don't know, but we don't want to just assume that it's not going to work. So we do ask that you give it a chance. You'll be working very closely with your RA the first couple of weeks to create a roommate contract and different things so that we can kind of set you all up in the best way that you are going to be able to make living work. I think one of the things that's important for students to realize is that we don't need you and your roommate to be best friends, but we do need you to be cordial with each other. And so part of what we do with our housing selection and part of why we house you in the first year is that those questions that you answered are basically our baseline questions of where we see a lot of conflicts come from. So we have already matched you on similar answers there. And then we've also done some looking at your open answer questions, such as your hobbies and your interests and what you want in a roommate. Obviously, there are some times that is not a perfect system, but we are going to ask that you try it, and we're going to ask that you talk to your RAs first. If we find that there's just something that is just not going to work, which does happen on occasion, we will change your room. But it is important for all students to know that that's not going to be the very first thing that we jump to. We are going to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Work through the process together before that happens. But don't worry. Like I said, if there are things that are just not going to change or not be any better, ultimately a basic need is housing. And so we are going to make sure that is salient throughout your entire experience, but we are going to push you a little bit when we need to make sure that you are learning other skills and practicing, mediation and talking to your roommates before making that happen.
Can I also add one thing?
Yeah.
So basically the questions on the housing directory are so important. And I think people always get caught up. Be honest about how clean you are. That's like one of the main things I think people get caught up in. Be honest just about what kind of roommate you prefer in general. Because when you realize that you have a roommate that isn't really what you expected, then you're suddenly saying like, this isn't what I meant. So really just be honest and know what you want in a person you would want to roommate. And if that person looks like you, then be honest. Yeah. This is all you.
All right. Always question. Okay. Is there any information on the Goucher website where room specs of freshman village dorms can be found? We get this question all the time, and you would think that at this point I would just go and measure a room and put it on the website, which I think I'll do. So we always say that a 9x12 rug is kind of the ideal size for your room. I will go and personally measure a room and put the specs on. With the first year village, all of the rooms are the exact same, so that is something that we can offer now. In the past, we've never really offered it because the rooms varied slightly in size, and it was kind of hard to determine, but we will get those all online. There are currently photos of the first year village online and photos of what the rooms look like, so you can get an idea that way of kind of how the layout is and what you might want to do to the space, but we can get the exact specs online later this week. Something that's cool about the furniture in the rooms is that it's all completely movable. So you can bunk the beds, you can height and lower the beds, you can stack the dressers. Everything is kind of made so that when you get there, you can kind of make it look the way that you want want it to look, which is a pretty cool feature of the first year village. Just that you kind of have that autonomy to say or decide with your roommate, what do we want this to look like, and kind of make that happen.
So what is a roommate contract? So when you get to your room in the fall, one of the first things you have to fill out is a roommate contract, which if you have a roommate, essentially it's kind of figuring out what are the most important things that you want your roommate to be able to do and not do, and how do you want to coexist in that space. And then the second part of that is basically your RA asking you what's wrong with your room, essentially, and just like what's the word? Just kind of like rooms condition room condition report. That's actually what it's called. And essentially, it just helps RAs and Res Life know how your room looks, so that at the end of the semester, if there's a problem, then we can contact you and make sure, maybe it's something that you did, maybe it's something you didn't do, but it really helps so you don't get charged for something you didn't do.
Kind of like Ridwan was saying about the housing application, it's really important to be honest during the roommate contract. It can be kind of hard because it is kind of in the first week that you're meeting your roommate, but oftentimes when there is a conflict that does exist at some point in the semester, that's the first thing that we go back to. So I know that it can be a little bit unnerving to say, no, I really don't want guests, or this is what I want, but please feel like you have kind of the, be encouraged to say what you need, because those are the things that we point to when we have any type of mediation. And so we want to make sure that you're being honest from the start. That way we can address those needs quicker. And it's easier to do that if you're just transparent about what it is that you need to be in a healthy living environment from the start.
Great. Next question. When do I move in? Is there a certain time? So first year students move in August 17th. And is there a time?
Yes. So in the email that you'll receive tomorrow, it's simply going to have your roommate information and your housing information. We will then send out an additional email later in July with what actual time you're going to move in. We stagger it slightly so that we can make sure that there's enough help and that there's not a specific rush. And so please be on the lookout for that email. We know that tomorrow's email, you only want your housing assignments. That's literally all we give you. But make sure that you're paying attention to those emails later in the semester, in the summer, because that's kind of the pertinent logistics of what move-in day is going to be like. But on move-in day, we have lots of help. You're going to pull your car up and we're going to unload it for you, and we're going to get you into your room as quickly as possible, because there are a lot of people that are moving into a relatively small corner of campus. So,
how long are the beds? So all the beds on campus are twin XL. I personally really love that, because for my first year, for my second year, I use the same mattress sheet. It makes things so much easier. You don't have to worry about getting a different one for a different year. If you're someone who really likes changing your sheets once in a while, then okay. But I was very comfortable with that, and yeah, I think Twin XL is the answer to the question.
Okay. What are the names of the residence halls? So there's trustees, E-cells, and fireside, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Yes, those are the three names of the first year village halls. So what are housing accommodations? So housing accommodations are a process that students can go through if they have any type of accommodation that they need for a specific type of housing. You can also go through accommodations for any type of academic accommodation. But for housing accommodations, there is an office called the Office of Accessibility Services, and there's a form online that you can fill out that talks about what you need for your housing. There's a portion that your doctor needs to fill out and then also submit. But basically what happens is after you submit that stuff, our Office of Accessibility Services looks over everything and then sends me a final list of students that were approved for accommodations. And then we match your accommodation and provide a room that way. It is important to remember that there are deadlines for the accommodations. And so kind of at this point, anything is on a space available basis. So if you do need an accommodation, please make sure that you're paying attention to those deadlines. And also remember that accommodations need to be renewed annually. So it's not just a one and done thing. You got to resubmit forms every year so that we can make sure that we're still matching the accommodations that you need.
After the first semester, do we get a different dorm or do we return to the same dorm at the start of the second semester? So you return to the same dorm. When you get housing, it's for the full year. So
Right. Are we allowed to have a printer in our rooms?
I guess. Sure.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Really?
So there are printers that you can use on campus. You get printer points at each semester that you can use. But if you feel the need to have a printer in your room, you go for it.
yeah,
That's fine.
I will say don't waste the money if you got it like that. But I know a couple of friends who did have printers in their rooms. It was just more about the convenience of it, but everything's close, so don't really feel like you need to buy your own printer. You have a lot of printer points, so
Where is the closest place to print from the first year village?
the library, yeah,
Yeah,
which
the
is
library.
a 2 minute walk. So just take those 2 minutes because the assignment is worth it.
And there is also printers in the academic buildings.
Can you briefly explain what room draw is? Would either of you like to explain room draw? You've gone through it.
I've never gone through room draw.
What?
I have not finessed, but I have just gone through my whole Goucher experience without doing room draw. I can't explain it unless you want.
We'll talk after.
So room draw is a process at the usually spring semesters where you're choosing your room. The way it starts is after you've finished all the requirements to be eligible for a room, you then when your selected date is, can go on the Goucher website, the housing directory, not the Goucher website, and you select your room based on all the options. Usually, I will say sophomore year, which is when you all will have be able to choose your next rooms for. It's harder to get a single. It's harder to get into an apartment. It's harder to get into the kind of the more upperclassmen rooms. So you're just kind of now looking for dorms, maybe with a roommate, maybe by yourself, but it's just really you trying to figure out what your room is for the next year. You probably have better words.
No? Do you have anything you want to add to it?
No, I feel like that's the overall process.
The short version is that it's the chance that you get to select your own room instead of us selecting it for you.
That was
the
smooth.
summary.
That was just like
I've done this for a little bit.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. You'll get there.
That's awesome.
Okay. What kinds of rules do we have to follow in the dorms?
A lot.
Let's see. We have quiet hours.
Well, I mean, we have a whole lot of like code of conduct things that you will definitely read about when you get here, and I would really recommend reading before you get here, because it is all part of the thing you signed before you could come to Goucher. So I mean, just don't do illegal things.
Right.
I don't know if there's any like specific thing you want to talk about.
No, as far as policies, I think you both hit it. There's a code of conduct, and we do have rules that we need for people to abide by. I think the biggest things to remember are that the majority of people that are living in the first year village are not 21, and so there should not be alcohol in those residence halls unless there are students that are of age. And then just a lot of it is just kind of the common. It's important to remember that in a residence hall, you are living amongst a lot of other people. So this is very different than what you might be used to living with your family. And you're suddenly living in a space where there are, the Palo Cells has 292 beds in it. And so it's a very different experience. And so we need people to kind of be cognizant of the fact that you're not just sharing a room with maybe your siblings, or you're not just sharing a bathroom. Like suddenly it's very different. For some of you, you might be sharing a room for the first time. And so I think there are rules and policies. And I think a lot of it is just about kind of remembering that you're living in a very new type of community than what you're probably used to, and kind of giving that mutual respect of what it's like to live amongst a lot of other people and a lot of people that are also brand new. What kind of food items are provided?
For the dining hall?
I think it's So, I have to actually think about that. Well, we have a dining hall. What kind of food?
It's very nice and very new.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
very. What?
You have
do we-
like your pizza, you
Yeah.
have your salad section,
Yeah.
your sandwich
Oh,
section,
soups.
soups.
Yeah, there's a nosh section, which is just kind of something different that's kosher every day.
stir
Um,
fry.
Yeah, Mongolian.
Mm. Some days
Um,
we have sushi.
Oh yeah. There's an Explorer, I think it's called, where it's just something random, like the sushi bowls or like the what was that? What was that soup thing?
The noodle bowls.
The noodle bowls.
Yeah, the noodle bowls are like
so
seriously
good.
top notch.
That is so good.
Here's the secret with the noodle bowls, which I can't believe I'm saying because then everyone's going to do this. But the key is to always ask for the coconut broth with the noodle
Really?
bowls because it's amazing, but they
Yes.
don't always tell you they have it.
Yeah.
But it changes the entire experience. Get the noodle bowls with
It
the coconut broth.
does. It does.
Noted.
Potato noodles with coconut.
Mm-hmm. Our food is really very good, and there does seem to be a large selection of items that are changing. One of the cool things is that with this new dining hall, they change things around so it's not the same thing every week.
Right.
You have kind of those staples that are the same, but there's different stations that just
That's
provide
very
something
nice.
completely new, and that makes it kind of exciting to eat there.
Okay, what does each room come with furniture-wise? So you have a double room. You have your 2 desks, 2 beds, 2 dressers,
Mhm.
and 2 closets,
Mhm.
2 chairs.
I think that's it.
Oh,
There's
and
blinds.
Blinds.
Yes, the blinds.
And overhead lighting.
One.
overhead
And then you have light in your desk.
Mhm.
So a lot of light. That's
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's it.
Okay, what are the times for move-in day?
Mm,
Do we know when move-in day times are yet?
I think they're on
8 a.m.? Okay, we're starting at 8 a.m. this year. So the first group will be here at 8 a.m. And then we will have, like I said earlier, it'll be sporadic throughout the morning. We generally go an hour and a half shifts just to make sure that people are in and kind of settled and we can get cars parked before we bring in a new round of people. But it will begin at 8 a.m.
He's next to
You're
it.
telling me all the questions that I get to answer. What size rug should I bring? So a 9x12 rug is kind of the great size. That's going to fit the kind of the center part of your room. When you walk into these rooms, the closets are open. And so you kind of walk into the room and you have 2 closets on each side and you walk in and then it's kind of separated by side with each set of furniture. And you can switch things around however you want, but kind of the 9x12 will kind of fit that middle section of kind of when you get out of bed and want to put your feet on carpet. I will put the specs online, but as you're looking for rugs, 9x12 is a great option. The other thing that we say sometimes is that come with the stuff that you know that you're going to come with, and we have lots of stores nearby that you can always go and shop for once you get here. So you might get here and want to see the room first and kind of get an idea of what you want to go out and buy and then go do it that way. But we have a Walmart and a Target and a Bed Bath & Beyond and a Marshalls and a TJ Maxx. All of those stores are very close to campus that we do sometimes recommend just going that route and getting things once you arrive so that you've actually laid your eyes on the room to get an idea of what you want to do. Okay. What animals can I bring? You can bring a fish or a small bird if you would like. Our pet policy is that you can bring fish or birds. Anything outside of that would fall under our emotional support animal policy. And so if you do have an ESA or you're considering bringing that is a completely separate process that needs to be fully approved before you arrive to campus. That's also a process that goes through our Office of Accessibility Services. So if that kind of pertains to you, please go through that. But please also note that ESAs cannot come to campus until they are officially approved and we have all of the proper documentation on file.
What is an ESA?
An ESA is an emotional support animal.
Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty good to know.
I'm glad that I could tell you that.
Is it possible to have your stuff shipped instead of driving it? If so, how does that affect your move-in time?
Yes, you can have your stuff shipped. That is not a problem. We ask that stuff doesn't start to get shipped until early August, just so that we can make sure that the post office is where they need to be. It doesn't impact your move-in time at all. It just means that at some point you will need to go to the post office to pick up your items. The post office does get really busy during the beginning of the year because lots of books are shipped and lots of things are shipped. So you are absolutely able to ship stuff. I would be cognizant of what you're shipping and make sure that it's not stuff that you kind of need immediately, just in case there is a slight delay. The post office will be open all of move-in, so we should be able to get your items to you. But again, they're another office that has a lot of stuff going on also, so just be a little bit mindful of that. And if you want to send stuff to the post office, it's just our campus address, which is 1021 Delaney Valley Road. And then just make sure that you mark who it's for so that it can be kind of stored in a pile with all of your other stuff.
Oh, can I buy sheets and stuff through the college? So not directly from the college, but the college does have partnership with, I forgot the name. It's like a discount for essentially all your college needs. And we will get that, but we'll get that for you all. But it's essentially a website where you get all your college needs for your dorms, and it's just everything in one. Dang.
It's like called My. It's on. I know it because I
My
know.
dorm.
But
Yeah.
in the email that we send you later that has more information, that will have the link to the fridge rental, and it will also have the link to the linen program. So just look for those. But that's also similar to the My Fridge rental, where it just gets shipped and it's waiting for you and it's ready to go. Some people use that service. I would say that it's not a super popular service that students use. People like to just go and pick it out on their own. But it is definitely something that's available, and you can kind of get bundles that have everything that you need, and they're waiting for you.
Okay. Do we have to take out all our stuff between semesters? Is there a service that can store your stuff so you don't have to bring everything home and back again? No, you do not have to take all of your stuff out between semesters. And yes, we do have a storage on campus.
Yep. So the storage is can be semesterly or yearly or over the summer, and we basically ask that you use specific size boxes that we provide, and then we have a rate for basically the box and the space, and you can store your stuff with us over the summer. How many drawers are in each dresser and desk?
4.
Go ahead.
Yes. The drawers have 4 sections, and the desk have 3 on the side and 1 underneath the actual desk for like utensils and things to do homework.
What do I do if I don't get a housing assignment? Well, you will get a housing assignment. It is just a matter of when sometimes. So if you don't get a housing assignment, please let us know. And it would be great if you let us know before you arrive to campus on August 17th. I'm always very impressed by the people that are willing to show up and say, I don't have a housing assignment. And that does happen. But if you don't have one, just let us know so that we can make sure that you're taken care of before you arrive, and we can have everything pulled for you. We have plenty of rooms. There's not going to be any issue with not having a housing assignment. This first round of housing assignments that are going out tomorrow are all of the people that have filled out the application. So if you don't get a housing assignment tomorrow, it's possible that you didn't fill out our housing application, and we still need you to do that. One of the things that we will start to do as the summer moves on is we will kind of filter out who has not filled out the housing application, who still needs an assignment, and we will try to reach out to you. But yeah, if you don't have one, just let us know, and we can get you housed very quickly and make sure that you're good to go.
How big are the single rooms? Are they tiny like most colleges, or are they roomy? Singles are pretty roomy. I've never complained about a single. I've never heard anyone complain about a single. They're pretty roomy.
Okay. How do I add my gaming system to the room's network? If I'm not mistaken, on your TV, the Wi-Fi should pop up, correct? And it's just your Goucher username and password to sign in.
Yeah, the college has actually been working with different systems for the gaming systems. We used to have a separate network specifically for gaming, and now they're playing around with different ideas. But you definitely are able to add your gaming system to the network. It's just a matter of if you'll add it to the Goucher guest Wi-Fi or the Goucher Wi-Fi. Some of those things are being worked out right now. But if you have a gaming system, bring it. You can get added to the network.
Oh, so we have a new Instagram account, Goucher NSP, and it's for all first year students. And it's basically to help everyone be informed about new information around campus and different resources and how to get involved at Goucher College. So if you guys want to follow us, is Goucher NSP on Instagram.
What does NSP stand for?
New Student Program.
How do we contact Res Life if we have any questions? Well, you have a few ways. So you can always email us. Our email is residentiallife@goucher.edu, or you can call us at 410-337-6424. Emails, we get back relatively quickly. Everyone gets those emails in the office, so we can just respond back as fast as possible. The phone lines are available from about 9 a.m. to 4:30 Monday through Friday. So if you call after those hours, then we would get back to you at the next business day. Okay. I guess that's it. We're wrapping up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you for joining us. For those that tuned in, I enjoyed
Yes,
talking to
I
you
had
about
fun.
housing, and we're excited
Fun.
for you to get your assignments tomorrow. If you have any other questions, you are welcome to reach out to the first year program, the first year mentors at firstyear@goucher.edu with anything else you might have. And if you have any Res Life specific questions, feel free to reach out to us personally at Res Life.
Yeah. Res Life questions, go to Res Life.
If you send them a Res Life question, they're just going to forward it to
Yes.
Res Life. So you can take out the middle person.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Great. Thank
Woo.
you.
Thank you, everyone. See you in the fall.
Yeah.